COVID-19 cases continue to rise in Windsor-Essex as Ontario Health says that they haven't completed on-site testing at a new farm in 2 weeks. Advocates want answers but say they have a hard time figuring out who exactly is in charge. Bit of a moody day here in Windsor with the clouds blocking out the sun. Still felt pretty warm though, 34 with the humidex right now, and facing a chance of thunderstorms overnight and into tomorrow morning. Colette Kennedy has all the details in her forecast tonight. I'm Chris Ensing. Thanks for joining us. Despite a strong push from politicians and health officials for more farm workers to be tested for COVID-19, CBC News has learned that only a small fraction of the many farms in Essex County participated in on-site testing through Ontario Health. That number hasn't changed at all over the past 2 weeks. The CBC's Jason Vio brings us the details and reaction.
Over the last 9 years, Joan Gray has been helping migrant workers in Essex County with the nonprofit Unity Hopeful. But Gray says she can't seem to understand why so few farms are providing on-site COVID testing.
I know personally that the workers want to be tested because I speak to them on a daily basis.
Back on July 6th, CBC News asked the province how many Essex County farms took part in on-site testing, which is 2 weeks after it began. The answer? 19 out of the roughly 175. As of yesterday, 2 weeks later, no new farms participated in on-site testing. The number still sitting at 19. That's about 2,800 tests for farm workers. 1,800 of those are on site out of the more than 8,000 migrant workers in the region.
That is mind-blowing. That is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what's going on there.
Nobody from Ontario Health was available for an interview about the low numbers of on-site testing or to explain why 5 farms scheduled to do it never followed through. Gray even says mandatory testing should be the way forward. And 1 month ago, Premier Doug Ford appeared frustrated with the lack of testing among farm workers.
I'll go to the extreme. I'll start pulling out every tool I have at my disposal to make sure this gets done.
Today, no firm promises after visiting Leamington just last week.
So it's all hands on deck. It's the same situation. There's a group of migrant workers that have spiked things up a little bit, but we're working with the farmers. We're going to continue testing on as many farms as possible.
The Ontario Greenhouse Vegetable Growers tells CBC News 43 of its 118 members participated in either on-site testing or had done it at the assessment centre. It's unclear, though, when that took place or why the others haven't done it. For Joan Gray, she's unsure who to blame for how the situation for migrant workers has gotten to this point.
Somebody's not doing their job, and I don't know who it is. But somebody's not doing their job because these workers should have been taken care of. They're not being taken care of in the way they should.
Jason Vio, CBC News, Windsor.
Nearly half of all the COVID-19 cases in Windsor-Essex are people working in the agri-farm sector. Most of them are migrant workers. Let's take you back to how we got to this point. Back on June 9th, a COVID-19 assessment center specifically for migrant workers opened up in Leamington. A little more than a week later, we heard from Premier Doug Ford calling for farm owners to get their workers tested. Just 1 day later, that assessment center closed due to poor turnout as positive cases continued to rise. On June 21st, a third migrant worker died after testing positive for COVID-19. Just 3 days later, the province announced expanded efforts for on-farm testing. But Ford did say that farm workers who tested positive but were not showing symptoms would be allowed to work together, away from other employees. On June 26th, the federal health minister calls the treatment of farm workers in Canada a national disgrace. On Canada Day, the health unit closed down one farm altogether, Nature Fresh Farms in Leamington, after 191 positive cases were found there in just 1 weekend. 2 days later, the province deployed its emergency response team. On July 7th, Leamington and Kingsville, the last 2 regions in Ontario in Stage 1, got the green light to move to Stage 2. Nearly a week later, Ontario Health said they had tested 19 farms in Windsor-Essex with on-site testing. There were 5 more farms that were scheduled. Leamington Mayor Hilda McDonald called for more testing, something she wanted to discuss with Premier Ford when he visited Essex County on July 16th, but she didn't. And this week, officials with Erie Shores Healthcare says its COVID-19 unit has reached 100% capacity. And with another 35 new cases announced today, the number of people who have tested positive for COVID-19 in Windsor-Essex has now passed 2,000. We asked the health unit's medical officer of health if he ever thought that he'd see this many cases in our community.
Honest answer, no. In fact, when the pandemic started, we felt that we may see a few cases and it won't spread across the globe the way it spread. But I think here we are right now, and I think we have done a great job living right next to a state that has seen one of the hotspot in the United States. And so I think our community has done a good job.
Now, across the province, 203 new cases were reported today. 35 of those were due to a backlog in reporting cases from the Peel region. But even without those numbers, the cases are still up from yesterday. And once again, it's young adults that are seeing the biggest spike. Lorenda Redikoff has more.
These friends are visiting Toronto from Quebec. One of them describes herself as the mother of the group.
Oh, guys, put your mask, wash your hands.
But she says it's hard to follow the rules.
It's a pleasure to see my friends, and it's just hard to respect the 2 meters law because I want to hug, you know.
Here's a look at the ages of people affected. People in their 20s and 30s make up the largest number of new cases. 116 are under 40. Health officials blame part of the spike on parties.
I just ask people, just hold off on these parties. I don't know why everyone wants to party so badly, but enough. We have to keep this in control.
The biggest jumps are from 4 different health regions. 3 are the areas not yet moving to stage 3. In Peel, 35 of those cases are older due to a reporting error. There are 30 in Toronto and 24 in Windsor-Essex. The other area most affected is Ottawa.
The data over the last few days is concerning. All of these cases are linked to activities that occurred during stage 2, meaning we are not yet seeing the impact of stage 3 reopenings on new cases.
This infectious disease expert says the people being infected are getting younger and younger. And he says there are some positives.
We don't have a lot of ICU admissions. We don't have a lot of hospital admissions. We do have capacity. It's summer. This virus seems to hate the great outdoors. It loves it indoors. So what a great opportunity for people to do things outdoors.
These friends say outside is where they have their get-togethers.
It's not easy. I recognize that, but it is so, so, so important. And it's summer and nobody wants to. I get that.
But I think the thing that even we don't understand is that you can't go out and enjoy summer and still be responsible and follow the rules.
Today, Mississauga's mayor said overall, cases are still going in the right direction and urged the premier to move Peel and Toronto to stage 3 next week. Lorenda Redikoff, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, that spike in COVID-19 cases, not just happening in Ontario. BC reported more than 100 new cases over the weekend. Their health officials say there's a chance for, quote, explosive growth. In Alberta, there were 368 new cases over the weekend, the highest daily increases in active COVID-19 cases since April. And Quebec, they reported 180 new cases just today, the most there since mid-June. A woman in LaSalle with extreme respiratory issues says that the mandatory mask order means she's unable to get her regular day-to-day tasks done. She says that businesses don't understand that she has an exemption due to her medical condition. Jacob Barker joining us here now. You're speaking with her today, Jacob. Public health officials, they say that wearing masks, it's a vital tool in containing the spread of the virus. So why is this woman exempt?
Yeah, Chris, it is not a comfortable time for Leslie Ann Roy. She says that masks like these that we all have to be using to go out and do things like shopping is making it harder for her to breathe. She has a number of respiratory issues, and just going out in public during the coronavirus is something that is terrifying for her. She tries to stay as far away from people as she possibly can. And for somebody who is already short of breath, putting a mask like this on is terrifying.
I've tried wearing this crazy thing. It gets to the point where if I wear it any longer than 5 minutes, I lose my breath. I feel like I'm trapped inside something that's so small, it's squeezing the air right out of me.
Everywhere, this is the scene. Shoppers, for the most part, are putting on their masks. The Windsor-Essex County Health Unit says a person shall be exempt from wearing a face covering on the premises if they have a medical condition such as a respiratory disease. Roy is one of those exemptions. She has a list of respiratory issues: chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, emphysema, and asthma.
I have to take 3 different puffers every day. 2 of them I take 4 to 6 times a day. Okay? It is unbearable trying to breathe in the humid weather. You put this thing on, you can't breathe.
But Roy is having difficulty communicating this to store staff, and she says she's been stopped all over the place.
It's the grocery stores. It's the banks. It's crazy. It's everybody in LaSalle. It's in Windsor. People don't understand. You've got major lung issues that you can't breathe through a mask, and they're telling you, put the bloody thing on. It makes no sense.
Roy's asking shops to be understanding of where she's coming from.
Take your time and listen to the people talking to you. Listen to what they're saying and try and understand their health problems. Don't ignore them. Understand them.
It's clearly been a tough time for her there, Jacob, as we just heard. But what are the experts saying about what she's experiencing?
Yeah, I did speak with a respiratory educator at the Lung Health Foundation who told me that there is no real mask that they can recommend to somebody with COPD right now. And she said that feeling of claustrophobia that Roy has, well, she's not alone.
People with COPD, have a certain level of shortness of breath. They may have a certain level of shortness of breath already at rest. When they do any kind of an activity, exercise, they may become more short of breath. That's the nature of their disease. And so when you put something like a mask on their face, they feel very confined, like they're suffocating.
Feldman did recommend for people who do have COPD to find alternative activities, alternative ways to do things like grocery shopping and other tasks that they have to do outside of the house, like curbside delivery, curbside pickup and delivery services. And I did also want to point out that I got a response or a clarification from the health unit here in Windsor-Essex about individuals who do come to the supermarkets or any shops, whether they're supposed to have proof of their medical condition. They said that that is not necessary, but they did also say that some businesses can choose to restrict all of the people coming into the shops from wearing masks. Chris.
Thanks for this, Jacob. The CBC's Jacob Barker live tonight. Starting on Monday, you're going to be able to use computers at the Central Library in Windsor. Officials say that computer stations will be separated by plexiglass, and physical distancing guidelines will keep people seated apart. The initiative is going to run as a one-week trial, and depending on how it goes, Windsor Public Library might consider allowing computer access at its other branches. The Central branch has been closed to the public since March. U.S. lawmakers are trying to hammer out a new coronavirus relief package to help the nation's economy. Democrats say a Republican-backed proposal fails to help those who are hurt most by the virus-induced downturn. And now with a deadline looming, the Trump administration is adding its own demands for passage of the bill, all while the president continues to downplay the pandemic as he eyes his own re-election. Salima Shivji has more.
With the president now saying wearing a mask is the patriotic thing to do, the White House is again insisting he's not endangering others when he doesn't wear one.
The president is the most tested man in America. He's tested more than anyone, multiple times a day, and we believe that he's acting appropriately.
He may be getting tested regularly with swift results, but that's not the case for many Americans. Long lines and waits are a constant as hospitals in some states are overrun with the infected. Still, Congress is haggling over funding for those tests amid reports the White House is blocking a request from Senate Republicans to include more of it in a new relief package. Not so, says the president's press secretary.
Currently in federal coffers, we have $10 billion, that's with a B, unspent, that is allocated for testing. And we want to ensure that in phase 4, there is money that is targeted for testing in the way that makes most sense.
With many states rolling back reopening, the Republicans are adamant about what they want in the next coronavirus relief bill. More than $100 billion to help schools reopen safely this fall. But they are far apart from the Democrats, who want to see far more money for those in need.
The Republican proposal appears destined to fall drastically short of what's required. From all indications, the bill will prioritize corporate special interests over workers and Main Street businesses.
Negotiations are expected to be messy and long, with a $600 a week boost to unemployment benefits hanging in the balance, set to expire in a matter of days.
If I'm getting the $120 a week without this extra $600, what happens if I'm not going back until October, November, December?
Leaving her and millions of other Americans waiting, hoping for an extension that comes in time. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Washington.
Quebec Provincial Police believe that they have found the body of Martin Carpenter, the fugitive father wanted in the death of his 2 young daughters. The body was found Monday night, hours after the funeral for the 2 girls. Investigators say that the man appears to have committed suicide. The discovery was made in an area about 30 kilometers southwest of Quebec City. Police have conducted an intensive 10-day search of the region for Carpenter. As we take a live look outside, you can see some of those clouds off in the distance. Unfortunately, they may contain rain. I'm not the expert, Colette Kennedy is, and thankfully she's joining us after the break here to tell us what the rest of the week is going to look like. And joining us now for a live look at the weather is Colette Kennedy. Colette, we did get some news today, some confirmation of what those storms really brought in southwestern Ontario on the weekend, eh?
Oh, yes, we did. And, I just want to kind of explain things, Chris, because we are in a pandemic. It's a little bit different in terms of Environment Canada not sending crews out to investigate. We're lucky to have from Western, we have the Northern Tornadoes Project that are doing the investigations. And you may see some different numbers coming back. And I was just in contact with them. They have crews out now, so this could go up. The figure may go up. But if you see some numbers that are a little bit higher, it's because I think there are some that are including water spouts in their figures right now. I'm not. Those are tornadoes over water, and we're just doing the land ones here. So we have 3 that are confirmed from Sunday's storms, all right? And the strongest being EF1s, so the strongest winds were 150 kilometers an hour. And, it does seem most of the damage were to some farm structures, a lot of trees damaged as well. Some roofs were damaged too. Longest path was just over 9 kilometers, and the widest tornado does seem to be just about 100 meters in terms of the width. So at this point 3, this number could go up. What does it do in terms of our totals? It puts those totals now at 16 for Ontario for this year. We tend to be between 12 and 13, so this is an active year for sure. And not only that, just look at where the location is, and then if we look at our kind of tornado alley for Ontario, yeah, boy, right in the target area where we tend to see the most numbers, right? So that's not so unusual to see that in terms of the location. Here we are, just taking you back to the current time and what's happening now and not what happened on Sunday. 27 degrees. We do have some humidity, but it's going to be increasing into tomorrow. 34 is our humidex. We do have this system moving in tonight. Even overnight tonight, we may have some thunderstorms, so the rumble of thunder may wake you up overnight tonight. So some thunderstorm activity into tomorrow. We certainly have that risk. Now, they're going to be scattered in nature. The more sunshine we get peeking through the clouds, the greater the enhancement that we could get into some severe weather. Right now, it looks like the cloud deck is going to be thick enough that actually the risk is going to be dampened a little bit, so that's actually a positive thing in terms of the nature of these storms that are going to be coming in for Wednesday. Tonight, milder than last night, so 21 is going to be the overnight low, so it's going to be a little bit steamier. Tomorrow afternoon on target in terms of the temperature for being average, but it's going to be feeling stickier. We got more humidity in the air. Thursday, a little bit cooler. Friday looking like a really nice day. Temperatures going up as we go towards the weekend, and not only that, we go back up with the humidity towards the weekend. A risk of thunderstorms comes back in again on Sunday, Chris.
Oh boy, why not? Why not? Thanks for that breakdown of the tornadoes, though. Really cool to see that in action.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for this. Up next, we are going to tell you a story about how the Toronto Raptors and the Arkells combined efforts to bring students in Ontario some musical instruments. That's next. An Ontario music teacher is overjoyed because of a big donation to her school to buy brand new instruments for her students. As Katerina Georgieva reports, her passion for teaching caught the attention of Hamilton rock band The Arkells and another local celebrity.
On behalf of E1 and the Nick Nurse Foundation, we're going to get you some new instruments to the tune of $25,000.
That means so much to us because we're so worried about our programs already. By having more instruments, we'll make sure that we don't have to reduce the number of kids in classes or anything, and that's so wonderful. Thank you.
That's teacher Julia Jung of St. Aloysius Gonzaga Secondary School, surprised by Toronto Raptors coach Nick Nurse with a bit of help from Arkell's frontman Max Kerman.
Oh my goodness, this has given me so much street cred with my kids. Like, now they made me cool.
It all started when Jung got her students to do this instrumental cover of an Arkell song, just one of her efforts to keep them engaged during the pandemic. It caught the band's attention and Nurse's, who has performed with the Arkells before.
Jung says the donation was a complete surprise and it'll have a huge impact, especially because it'll mean less sharing of instruments, which was already an issue here at this school even before COVID-19.
Oh my God, I was over the moon, man. With the music programs across the country and across the world, like every dollar counts. You know?
Her students say they're grateful for all Jung has done for them, especially during the pandemic with regular check-ins.
Miss Jung works super hard to help all of us get better and just keep in touch and make us all feel loved. Honestly, she treats us like family.
So much so that Soma Sekaran and Martins were a part of a group of students who performed at Jung's wedding in February.
It felt like just a great way to pay her back for everything that she's done for us these past years, and for all that she's done to help us, not even in music, but just in school and life in general.
Jung says the new instruments will soon be delivered to the school.
We're so excited. We can't wait. I just want to be there and see this grand delivery of gorgeous brand new equipment come.
Jung is thrilled to see the school and students recognized in this way, thankful for the spotlight on a music program she's already so proud of. Katerina Georgieva, CBC News, Mississauga.
Nice to be able to end the show on a high note or with a slam dunk. I don't know which one to use in this instance. It's 6:29 p.m. and that is it for us here at CBC Windsor News. For more on any of these stories, go to cbc.ca/Windsor, and you can find us on social media too. If you go on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, just search for CBC Windsor and you will find our accounts. We leave you now with a look at the tower cam where we can see some people enjoying the sun that is still out there, but again, rain could be on the way. That's it for us here. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.